Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. So a new major update has been released, and as per usual, along with it, a brand new DLC pack, the Signal Pack, which is what we're going to be looking at today. So in the usual fashion, what I've done is set up all the blocks included with this pack on the lovely wooden board on the Earth-like planet. I'm going to go through each and every one of these blocks, what they can do, what they look like, and all of that. But what I won't do is go through the actual overall base game update, because I'm sure much more bigger, much more better Space Engineers YouTubers have already covered that. There's no point in me actually doing that. So yes, we're going to go through these one by one, and we'll go and have a look at what they can do. I will mention right now that there is one block that I'm not too sure is bugged or not. If I was to scoot the camera all the way along here, over to this one right here. So this is one of the console module blocks, where if you get into the chair, you do have a hotbar like you could control stuff along it, like turning batteries on and off, turning lights on and off. And if you were to go into the control panel itself, it certainly looks like you could set up some buttons, but you can't actually drag anything on there, nor is there any way for you to actually click buttons on the actual console itself. So I'm not too sure whether that's a bug or intentional, so we're simply going to leave this as a decorative piece and leave it as such. Anyway, all the way over here at the very start, we're going to start with the inset walls. Now these are absolute fantastic blocks, make a great replacement for the steel blocks, go all the way along a corridor, or to line the room of a large ship, a large base, make it look a lot more better, a lot more decorative than the standard plain old blocks. A lot of ships do tend to make a single block wide corridor, and heavily rely on the skins to make it look, well, not too plain, but having these, the way they've been set up with a railing across them, as well as being slightly inset, will help remove the blocky feeling that a lot of ships give off, just by simply placing this all the way along and lining up the walls. So yes, grabbing on my character, coming around over to this one. This first one is the standard inset wall, where as you can see, we've got ourselves a railing coming all the way across. It's been set up so it can connect up directly onto the next wall and all the other blocks in this inset wall series. And yes, we've got ourselves a little inset section with the free camera coming all the way along. A simple gap we get between the railing and the back of the wall. Yes, this one is very self-explanatory with what it does, and will look bloody fantastic to use on a ship or a base. Come around onto the sides. There we go. Not too much to talk about around the back of these blocks or on the top and the bottom. There are no connection points, there are no interaction points, so they are just going to be hidden away, but you can always use this as a actual wall itself. Like on the other inset blocks or other previous DLC pack items, you can use these as an alternative to a steel block if you just want to use the decorative features of the rear of this block. Anyway, coming all the way across over to this one, this is the inset wall light, where it's basically identical to the one we just saw, but instead of having that central thin sticky out part, instead we've got a much more bigger part with a little interior light sitting in the middle. Now this one will turn on and off with the power of the station, or block, or ship, depending on what we want to do, and it behaves like a traditional light. But other than that, that is to me the same as the one we just saw, so we're going to move all the way across over to this one, which is called the Inset Wall Pillar, where, like the previous two, this one is almost the same, except in the middle here, we've got ourselves a little part that protrudes out. So in the middle here, instead of being completely flush, as you can see, we've got this part in the middle. If we come all the way up to it, it's like we've got a little access panel in the middle. Can't interact with this thing, but it does come with a few bits of detail in the form of a portion sign. We've got little buttons that we can tend to press. Down to there's a little air vent. Into there's your little headphone jacks. Then up to here is something which is a real blast from the past. That's like the old Windows 95 connection point for your mouse and your keyboard. Actually make them all use before we moved over to the USB ports. Hey, moving away from this, not much else to talk about with this block, so we're going to come over to this one. So this is like the ones we just saw, but goes all the way around the corner. And as you can see from the actual railing itself, it does bend slightly, and just, well, works if you want to make stuff go around the corner. But the block itself on the front is basically what we just saw on previous blocks, where we've got a nice flat surface in the middle, nothing too much going on at the top there. Around onto the side here we go, we do have a bit of extra detail. So all the way up to here, like the block we just saw, we do have a tiny little panel in the middle here. But once again, we've got our old-timey little mouse connection point there. We've got a green and red light. We've got two little buttons. Then down here, we've got some knobs with some green lights. And yes, the actual lights on this block do not actually turn off with the power. So unlike the actual light block itself, they will just stay simply lit up at all times. Over to this one, this is your corner inverted. So if we say slide this block all the way up to this one, we then create an L shape that'll go all the way around like so. Yes, not too much to actually talk about with this. Simply got the inset part on the corner, and the rest of it is basically what we just saw around the very edge of this thing. And then finally, the last one in the Inset Walls series is the diagonal one, which I can see being put to a lot of use on the outside of the ship for extra decoration, especially if you've got a very sharp, very pointy looking ship. Yes, it's simply just a diagonal with a railing going all the way across, but the actual railings themselves have been slightly curved on the end there to make sure it can connect up to the other blocks in this series. And as for that, it's time to move across over to this one, where I need to bring my character all the way over. So over here, these are our console modules. So like I said at the very start of this video, one of them is slightly bugged, or maybe it's intentional, but I'm not too sure. But some of them are interactable, but the rest are just pure decoration, and they do come in a small block form. So over here, we're going to start off with the corner version, which is well just a little panel we come up to, where we've got lots of knobs, we've got lots of buttons, a few parts of it do light up. We'll get a bit closer over here with the free camera, all the way up to it. Up to here, we can see a green light right up there. Of course, a few below these knobs. Over here, a little screen that does not light up. There's no way we can actually put stuff onto that, unless you were to mod it. We have a bunch of buttons with some letters on them, but I'm not too sure what is going on. It does look like there might be a bit of coding on here, by the way some of them have been lit up. And as you can see on this part with the actual red core itself, you can see a HTYC, but the C is capital. Right next to it is LANG, so we've got Clang. I still think that's wrong. Still think Clang should be spelled with a K. But there you go. Anyway, down at the bottom of this thing, we've got some more buttons, more knobs, more places for you to connect up a, what looks like headphone jack connector. Over to this part, and then you can see a high voltage right next to this little panel. And move away from this, move slightly down further. Here we go. They've got a small rating going around the bottom of the thing. Onto the side here, do have a nice bit of detail that we wouldn't normally see. So this is just hanging on the side, not connected up to a wall. Do have a bit of extra decoration to make it look quite nice from a glance. Yes, we can see up to here, a little circular part, two little arrows. Over here, small little access panel that you can tend to unscrew, do some internal work. Then of course down to here, you've got this little part right here which says caution. But it looks like you could remove that, or it looks like you should have something coming out of it, or maybe attach onto it like a fire extinguisher. And all the way down to the bottom, a little vent, round towards the side here, and they've got the exact same setup. Yes, if we come over to this part, we then got a small block version, which is a very diddly little thing. Where we once again got buttons, little knobs, little lights. I guess that's simply what it looks like. It's absolutely tiny, especially compared to the engineer's foot standing right next to it. Then around on the side of this thing, there we go, we've got then a very tiny version of what we just saw on the side. Grab and hold my character once again, and we'll move over to this one, which is the button version, which we can set up and can change the LCD screen right next to it. So all the way up to here, we've got our standard controls, which is hitting the right mouse button to bring up this, drag stuff all the way down, and set up our controls to use. We now toggle that on and off. There we go. And of course over here we can once again right mouse button to put stuff on there if we wanted to. It does follow the same theme as the previous console. We've got lots of lights, lots of knobs, lots of stuff for you to pretend to fiddle around with. And bring the free camera all the way over once again. Over to here, looking down at this thing, and just scooting all the way across. We move down slightly, once again a small little railing. Then over to this part, we do have a little part that protrudes out, which is like a little button where it looks like it might be lights or it could be something that you connect stuff into. But right next to here, we've then got another button and a little access panel. Round onto the side, once again a familiar theme with this. We've got a panel at the top there, little part of the yellow and the text that says caution. And at the very back of this thing, there we are. And of course coming down to the small block version, which is like the other one, a very diddly one, which I can see getting a lot of use out of this one on very small ships. So we've got our bump panels in the middle there. We do not have an LCD screen to light up, but it does look bloody fantastic and does work very well, especially if you just need to have something slapped down with no LCD screen. We've still got our buttons, we've still got lights on this and stuff to pretend to fiddle around with, but it does work very well on small ships if you do need something that's usable, but also doubles as a nice bit of decoration. Anyway, grab and hold my character once again. Over to here, we then got one that we can get inside. So this one comes with a seat, and we've got 3 LCD screens going all the way across this thing, which we can, like the previous console, set up with different scripts or standard images and whatever. We once again got knobs, dials and everything to pretend to play around with. Getting into the seat, looking all the way down, and there we are. We see our engineer puts his hands on some buttons, and over there he puts his hand on something that I can't quite make out, but down below there is our keyboards. We can get a nice little look all the way around. This is a nice alternative to having, say, the standard little chair and table, which was released in the previous DLC pack or previous update, I can't actually remember. Or if you simply do not want to use a flight seat, or you do not trust your friend to be in a flight seat, you can now plop them down into this seat and make them monitor all the screens and anything going on with the scripts, much like the radar scripts and anything else like that. Anyway, free camera all the way over, getting a look at the character, that's how he sits in the chair. Then of course on the side there, once again our caution, round towards the back, same as the one we just saw, moving all the way up and looking down. And there we are, come all the way down once again. If I can actually move the camera, I'm not too sure what happened here. But down we come, there we go. We see the character is actually putting his feet on top of, which is very nice stuff. Then down to here where our seat is connected up to, rather than being plopped down into the floor, it comes all the way across to the very bottom of this, below the bar, and just connects up to the actual main block itself. Come all the way down underneath this thing. There we go. And that's that for that one. So over here, here's the small block version. So it's basically the same as the one we just saw over there, but instead of having buttons, got ourselves an LCD screen, a lone LCD screen in the middle there, which like the previous one does work absolutely fantastically for a bit of decoration on a small block ship. Anyway, my character once again moving all the way across. We then come over to this one that we talked about at the very start of the video, where once again we can get into the seats, so into here, and looking around, once again one hell of a lot of knobs and dials and buttons to tend to press. Down to there is your keyboard, and up to there is two little screens. Now originally I thought these screens could be lit up with scripts or pictures, but no, we can't actually do anything. It is simply a decorative block for you to sit on and to put your passages inside. So for a quick demonstration, what we're going to do is now bring up the HUD into the control panel. Here we are, the console module corner inverted. Now come down to setup actions. We've got a few controls here, but can't actually drag anything down, so I'm not too sure what's going on with this block, but it does really feel like these two up here are supposed to be buttons. Here with the free camera all the way up to here, all the way across. Here we go. So again, you look at these consoles. There we are, there's one hell of a lot of detail going on. Lots and lots of text that you wouldn't normally see in general gameplay unless you were to shove your face all the way up to here. But here we go, we then got an engine start button where we've got our remote operated systems, automated equipment, prefer to user manuals, and may operate without warning, use for caution. Very nice and very ominous message on this console. Moving across and up to here, then they've got some more text, some more numbers. And up to there we then got high pressure, where we can see our pressure gauge. Across to here, another little LCD screen with nothing going on with it. Across over to the main section when they got our right, and over there is your left, just in case you do forget which way is left and which way is right. Over here we've got a danger with another LCD screen, but down to here it says net with a few numbers. Onto the bottom, all the way across. There we go. Up to there we then got our high voltage warning. And over here we then got our escape, we then got a few more different buttons with all the gibberish writing on there. Not too sure what this is supposed to be, but it doesn't look like it is spelling out words. So hopefully someone can crack the code. Unless someone has already cracked the code. That'd be bloody fantastic to find out what this all means. Yes, moving away from here, moving slightly up. Over here we've got our emergency stop button. Very handy button to have on any ships that I'm controlling. And as for that, that's basically it for this one. Moving all the way down to the small block version, this one is unfortunately quite boring and does also kind of confirm the fact that it's meant to be a fully decorative block. So there's no interaction buttons on this, there's no way to actually use this thing. So we've got buttons, so we've got knobs, and onto the side there everything got our caution and yellow parts once again. Around on the side of this thing, and there we are. So hopping out of the seat, moving all the way across, then come over to the standard module. We've got no seats, got no buttons, got nothing to interact with. This is simply here for some decoration. So all the way up to, we've got a bunch of stuff going on here. It's quite scary to look at. It's almost like the control panel you'd see on the nuclear silo. Very similar to the ones we just saw. Who's simply going to have a little gloss over to this for the free camera, and that'll be that. So all the way over to here, looking all the way down, getting a bit closer. Yes, knobs, dials, buttons, everything you could imagine. LCD screens, which we can't set anything up with. Over there, we then got signals with a white and green jack. Then over to here, another's green. And then got caution once again. And then down to here, we then got stuff to move all the way up and all the way down. And then a little insert button. Down below here, once again, our railing. Then over to the small block version, here we go. This one is very nice for a bit of decoration on a small block ship, where this block has been translated very well as a small block version, where everyone's got our knob styles and all of that. Anyway, with my character once again, in fact my character can just stand here because he's no longer needed, we now move across to the windows. Now I absolutely love these window blocks from this pack. Why? Because of the railing going all the way across it. These work very well for space stations, especially for long open corridors where you've got nothing but glass lining the way. So these are very similar to the inset wall blocks we saw at the very start, where if we come around on the side there, that's simply what they look like, and they will work very well with the inset wall block, which is connected directly onto them, because they have been set up to be fully compatible with them. So on this side we've got a very clear view with bars right in the middle, and our railing tend to grab hold of. Onto the opposite side, standard window stuff, where they are much more darker, and do look fantastic from this side as well. Coming to this one, this is a corner version, very nice stuff. Round to the opposite side. There we are, that was a bit close. Then over to this one, we then got window ends, just to cap it off, because you are not directly connecting this up to a wall or a steel block. And of course you can use this as a straight up window, if you do want to have it on the base, using this as the bottom and the top. Over to this one, we've got a much more fancier one, which is called the dome, where it all goes into the middle, which you can use as basically like a side cockpit view sticking out the side of a ship. If I look at it on the side, there we go, round towards the back of this thing, just a very nice little thing. You could always use as a roof, or on top of a building, just have a nice little sneaky view all the way up. That's what you want to do with it. But no, it's just a nice little thing to have if you do want to use the standard flat windows or the rounded ones from the previous DLC packs. Anyway, over here, here's your standard window. So it's like the first one we saw, but it does not have the railing. And on the side there. And there we go. And all the way across here. Now these two are a very odd thing. Now this is a decoy, which really does not look like a decoy in the slightest. It looks like it should be something that goes below an antenna. But no, this is a fully working decoy, very fancy looking. We've got lots and lots of stuff going on with this, and does work very well if you connect up to the truss blocks you see in the background. You can very easily make a gigantic pillar to attract lightning, or just to distract enemies from shooting your main base, and looks so much better than the standard decoy sitting on top of interior pillars, which is quite a common theme to have. And yes, that's what it looks like on these sides. Moving all the way up and looking down, there's a connection point for our truss blocks we'll look at in just a moment. That's how it's been set up. So we're kind of a semicircle going all the way around with lots of little radar dishes and antennas sticking out. And down underneath this thing, down we come. There we go. And there we are. Then moving across to this one, and this one I absolutely like for no reason whatsoever. This is not an antenna, but rather a truss light. So at the top there, there's your tiny little light. That does look very well if you do want to have a bit of light on a ship or on a small land vehicle, but you do want to have the blasting light or the standard interior lights and all that. It's very much like an alternative to the neon tubes, which do grant a little bit of light, but you're just using it for decoration. So it changes to nighttime, so hitting this, oh, that's the wrong button, hitting that, and coming across over to this one, there we are, that's nighttime. That's simply what it looks like. Just gives a little glow off, which like I said, works very well for a small ship or a small land vehicle. And speaking of the small block version, it would have come all the way down to here. Now do excuse because there's no power on this grid, because it just plopped down onto the platform. We do have a much smaller version, but I am kind of disappointed with this one. So the large block version looks like it could fit very well on a small block grid as it stands, but this one would do quite well if you are going for a more compact look, but it's kind of a shame that that one up there cannot go on a small block grid. Coming all the way around this one, there we go. Moving all the way up and looking down, there we are. It's like it's got a bunch of walkie-talkies in the middle there, and we can see how it's going to be clamped on onto the side of your vehicle. It's actually very nice and very universally set up. Having that flat grid on the bottom there, you can just slap it onto some steel blocks just to break up the flat surface if you want to have it as a decorative piece. Let's go get a close look over to this one. In fact, we'll actually bring the slide back around because we don't need that anymore. There we go. And there we are, moving all the way up. There we go. We even got signal all the way at the top. And then up to there is where the light is going to come out. Down to the opposite side. Then we've got a slightly different setup. So we've got ourselves a few knobs, a few dials, a few buttons to press. So we see here, and then got that same setup with the same code, but it says clang there. Not too sure what else it's trying to say. But yes, other than that, that's that for the truss decoy and the truss light. So now it's time to come over to the truss block. So grabbing hold of my character, turning around, walking all the way up to these ones. These are basically alternatives to the interior pillars. They do come with multiple connection points to make them a lot more usable and a lot more easier to work around for decorative pieces, or to use it to attach guns onto your ship and have them, say, protruding out, sticking out your ship, and using them as such. So yes, you just come all the way up in the middle of the block, much like the standard interior pillar, and you do have a lot of stuff going on with it. We've got these lovely little truss parts along the side, a lot of little wires here and there. We see how the wires have been clamped onto the side to make them nice and neat, and to stop them from dangling around as the vehicle or ship is moving. And on the side there, there we go. Bring the quick camera all the way over, looking down this thing, so all the way over, and looking down. There we go, that's the connection point, and how it'll fit directly onto the decoy right over there. In fact, what I can do with my character, just move away from here, put my jetpack on, actually finding where that decoy was, is somewhere around here, there it is. We can just slap it on top there. Look how perfectly that just connects up. It's absolutely fantastic with how it works. In fact, you can't even see the connection point, how it's been joined together. That's absolutely seamless. Look at that. So all the way down to here, in fact, you can actually see how it's been connected up if you're all the way up to it, but from a slight distance, that's absolutely fantastic work with that. Over to here, this is another pillar, but this time it's offset, so it sits at the very back of the block, but it's identical in every way to the pillar we just saw. Over to here is a T-junction pillar, where it's very similar to those ones, but we can now just move it all the way across. It's very similar to the neon tube how it's been set up, but due to the fact it's much more bigger, Like I said, you could attach guns on this if you wanted to, or attach lights or the decoys, depending on what you want to do with this thing. Coming all the way up to it, we see how wires being connected up and sellotaped to the back of the metal plate. Then all the way up to here, we see where our wires are going and how it's going to connect up to the side, and just move all the way along. Onto the back of this thing, not too much to talk about, but if you do not want to see the wires, you want to have it like so, you can do. It's just a nice alternative. You want to hide up all the internals of this block. Over here, this is basically what we just saw, but it is a cross junction, so we go in 4 directions. And here's how the wires have been set up in the middle. I absolutely love how these wires have been set up. It's something very satisfying with how they've been basically taped to the back. Yes, it is basically the same as what we just saw. At the very back of it, again, is the same. Then all the way over here, the final block is then this one. So this is a corner truss, which is a bit more awkward to use. I would like to have had this block being a half block size, because it does come all the way up to the very top of the block. So with a steel block right here, right next to it, you see it goes to the very top of the block, but if it's in the middle there, that could be very, very useful for, say, attaching on some guns, if that's what you want to do. But yes, it simply comes all the way across from the bottom to the side, gives you an extra way to decorate your vehicle, base, or wherever. Looking like so, that's how it connects up to the rest of the truss blocks, all the way down to the bottom. This comes all the way down, our wires once again return in their very neat fashion, and all the way down to the bottom, there's another connection point. Onto the side, moving all the way up, there we go. And that's at the outside of the truss block. Grabbing on my character, what we've got to do now is run all the way towards the start of this platform and go through the final set, where are the corridor blocks and the narrow doors. So starting at this one, this is our standard corridor. We're going all the way through it, and just having a look all the way around. This is going to be a nice alternative to the current corridors that we have in the game. On the side there, it's very similar to the blocks we saw at the very start, where they're quite plain, but they do have a bit of detail on there, so we can use these as an actual wall itself in the place of a steel block. Over to this one, we've got one with a light at the very top here, so if you are going to have a very long corridor, you can use these dotted along the way, make sure it's not too dark, especially if you are using a mod that makes things incredibly dark, to the point you can't see anything without a light. Yes, it's the same as the one up there, just got a nice long light in the middle. Over to this one, this is then a corner version, where you just come all the way around, and out the other side. This is simply rounded off so it's not quite square, and does look very nice if you are going for a more airlocky feel on your ship. Over to this one, we then got a T-junction, which is very similar to that one, apart from the side there has been removed, and we lost our slight curve. So it's come all the way through, and we've got multiple ways to go. This one is then just an open junction where we go any which way, but looking all the way down, a nice plain section, looking all the way up, then got a little cross section in the middle. Anyway, across to this one, we've got a straight corridor, but this time we've got one of the sides removed for a window so we can see what's going on. Very handy if you want to have this going on the outside of a ship, or if you are going to have a space walkway from one side of the station to another one, which is a straight tunnel going all the way across. Yes, looking all the way up to there, a couple more lights, a couple more little things to play around with, or to tend to play around with, and we do have a slight curve going all the way around the bottom and the top of this thing. Over this one, this is basically the same as what we just saw, but instead of having a flat wall on this side, we've then got a window, got a double window on both sides. And all the way over to here, we've got one which is like the first one we saw, except this time on the top here, instead of having a light, instead of it being just a plain flat surface, then you've got a window here all the way up. With the free camera all the way over, we'll come over to that window on the top. So over to here and looking down, that's simply what it looks like. Now I can see this getting a lot of use out of being a walkway going all the way across to a large ship docking pad, like over to an airlock onto a connector, or it could be used as a vertical tunnel to jetpack all the way up to get up inside your ship or station. Anyway, grab hold my character, moving all the way across over to this one. Here we go. We then got ourselves a half corridor, also known as the narrow corridor, where instead of having a full-on walkway, we then got this side section right here. But right next to it, we then got this blocked off section, which I originally thought was going to be a storage bay, where we come up this, click on this, and store a few bits and bobs inside. But no, it's just purely there for decoration. No way to interact with this. We just walk through this part. It's simply a much more smaller, much more compact version of the corridor that we just saw. That's going to perfectly match this block right next to it and the ones right next to that one. So this is a stowage where, much like the one we just saw, instead of this being a completely wasted space on the side, instead we've got a few bits and bobs that we can play with. So in here we do have stuff that we can interact with. So we've got ourselves a small storage bay. We can drag across a few bits and bobs like ammunition, guns and all that. As you see here, we can store up to 3,000, which is very nice stuff. But closing this, we then got netting along the top, so you can put your luggage right behind there. We then got a light. Then all the way down into this part, we can see a few little bits and bobs in there, like medical stuff, which I believe is medical stuff. Then down there, we've got stuff which looks like it is flammable. Over to here, we then got a spare section for you to imagine putting stuff onto. Then at the bottom there, we bring the free camera all the way over once again, then come all the way down, through here. Here we go, we can see we actually have stuff in the netting, which looks like it is ammo boxes for you to pretend pull out, then go over to your turret with. On the side there, then it looks like we've got some power packs for your batteries to pull out and pull in to recharge up any kind of electrical vehicle. Then to the opposite side, there we go. I suppose we'll get a closer look up to here. So there we've got a flammable sign. It kind of looks like a cocaine package, but I suppose it's been playing too much GTA or Payday to have that kind of opinion. But yes, up to here, over to this part, we then got this one right here. As for that, grab hold of my character once again, coming out of this one all the way over to here for the final 2 blocks in this pack, and that's the narrow doors. So this one is a full block version, the one next to it is identical, but it's a half block version, so you've got a choice on what you want to use, depending on what kind of space you actually have to put the door down. But it's the same as the corridors we just saw. We simply open up this and we come all the way through. But unlike the other corridors, we do have a little button there to actually open and close the door without actually having to click on the door itself. Simply come to this, press the button, it opens up, and through we go. But unfortunately there is no button on this side, so we will have to reach all the way in and hit that button. There we go, and now the door closes up. Around on the side, front towards the back of it, and there we are. Just a nice normal thing to have if you do want to have to go along with the other blocks right there. If you do want to have a teeny tiny way to get in and out of your ship, or a teeny tiny corridor or airlock, depending on what you want to do. And of course over here, opening up this one, there we go, we once again got a little button on the side, closing that up, there we go. And once again, we cannot interact with this, there is no storage in this, it's simply there for some decoration. And with that, barring the music added onto the jukebox, that is the Signal Pack. It's an absolutely fantastic pack that I would highly recommend grabbing, because each and every one of these blocks I can see being used in the future, especially the inset wall blocks is adding a bit extra decoration for a corridor. The actual corridor blocks themselves, especially the half ones and the half doors, we put to very good use on much more compact designs, or if you want to funnel people around or just hide up certain interiors that you don't want to see or don't know how to cover up. And of course the console blocks, which will look absolutely fantastic for a control room, or of course a general bridge, and of course will work very well if you are doing a bit of role playing and you want to pretend to press little buttons here and there and do different things. The truss blocks as well I think will work very well on large ships and large bases, especially with the way the decoy and the light can connect up to them, and I can see them being used in the same way the beam blocks get used, that extra bit of decoration go around the outside, just to break up all the steel blocks and to break up flat surfaces. So yes, that's that for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope it was helpful, and then yes, I was losing my voice during this video. I tried my best to get all the way to the end of this thing. There was a lot going on with this pack, and I didn't want to stop recording and restart later on because it never really works out too well for me. But yes, that's that for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.